All right, we're trying this one more time to see if this will work. Give me a second. Give me just a second. I apologize. All right, there we go. All right, and let me hit live over here. All right, I believe I got it. So give me just a second to pull this up on my phone. And when you get here, make sure that you say hello and let me know that you're here. All right. So I think I've got it. I need to go over here. There's a lot of stuff you have to do once you get on here live. And it's like, be nice if you could get all this done beforehand, but it doesn't work that way. All right. So here we are. So like I said, when you get here, make sure that you say hello and let me know you're here. And then if you're watching the replay, make sure that I would love it if you would put hashtag replay so I would know that you were here watching the replay and I can check in on you and see if you have any questions or anything like that. Or if you put anything in the comments, I know to come back and check that out. All right, so it's a beautiful morning, and I'm sporting my little shawl, I guess it is. One of the amazing people at the TED Talk, she was in and she's in the Audience Accelerator program with me, and she was at the TED Talk and the mastermind and everything, and she was graciously, she gave several of us some shawls. She actually had cards for people. She was like, her suitcase was full of stuff that she was gifting everybody with. And it was just amazing the giving that everybody has, not just items, but thoughts. And it was a glorious experience. It's one of those life-changing things that I know I'm going to look back on in a month, maybe even less, and say, oh my gosh, that's when my thought about this changed. And, so it's having one of those pivotal moments that it was a big change within you. And so make sure you say hello and let me know that you're here in the comments. And I'm going to go ahead and get to the affirmation this morning. And I know there's quite a few people that will pop in, and they usually do it just a little bit later because they may be at church or they're doing things. But I'm going to go ahead and do this because I'm really, and I say this a lot, I'm really liking this affirmation and journal prompt this morning. Right. So here it is, the affirmation. My words are powerful tools for transformation and growth. And, I talk a lot about the things that we say to ourselves. And I reference the book, The Untethered Soul, a lot because I really love that book. It was very eye-opening for me when I read it the first time to be more aware of my internal dialogue, right? and we're aware that we have it, because we talk to ourselves all the time. And, but when I started recognizing how powerful that inner dialogue is, whether you're saying nice things to yourself or not so nice things to yourself, which I used to do quite a lot, it's powerful. So it's either moving you where you want to go, or it's keeping you stuck, maybe even making you even more stuck. And because we have this inner chatter all the time. Like you're having inner chatter now just by listening to me talk about this. And so some of the things that I used to do, and I'm so grateful that I don't, was I would look in the mirror and I would critique my body, my hair, my face, and it was like I had someone else standing in front of me, and I was trying to find out everything that was wrong with them, right? And and the it is so oh, disheartening to yourself when you do that. And I used to do it all the time. And I would jokingly say things, sarcastic humor about myself. And the thing that's so important to remember is that our subconscious mind is always listening. Sometimes our conscious mind is not. It's just rambling on about all kinds of things, all right? But our subconscious mind is always paying attention to what we say and what we do. And it doesn't really know the difference between us imagining something, thinking something, or it actually being true. It doesn't have a filter for that. And so even if you say, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid, I don't know how to do that, it's going to continue to think that that's the truth about you because you've said it. And then it's going to go back and find times that, yes, that was true. And then it's going to be searching out ways that can be true again. So you might end up running across somebody and becoming friends with them because there's a connection. But the connection is that they've got such a sarcastic sense of humor, and it's going to be directed at you. And it's going to solidify that thought about how stupid you are, right? You're going to meet somebody that is really good about pointing out all your mistakes, all your insecurities, because that's what you've set in motion. And so reason I'm wanting us to really talk about this morning is because we want to find that peace in us, that voice that we can spread out the good things about us and the world and people. We want to use this powerful tool to make us better, to make us good with where we are, because that's important, not to be condemning where we are, but using our voice and our words to create this change that we want within us and whether that change just means we love who we are right now and we stop critiquing everything about us, because that's a beautiful place to live. And not to say I'm perfect at it by any means, because I can still get kind of a little bit down when something comes up, or and I will have these triggers every now and then that will trigger me to jump into that critiquing place. And the beauty of doing this work is that you get to where that is something that you do, but you don't stay there. So it's like you recognize it so quick, and then you can pivot right out of the condemning words or the ugly words. And words have different meanings depending on the context of the sentence. Words have different meanings when our vocal tonality is different, right? So we can, like I used to tell my son all the time, that if because I would talk about how when he would say something, I'd say, "You just sound mean," and he'd say, "It doesn't matter. The words are the words." And I said, "No, you can look at your dog lovingly, and you can say, 'I hate you,' but you can say it in a way that sounds like it's an upbeat thing, right?" And what the dog interprets is the emotions and the body language and everything, right? So if you say, "I love you," and you say it in a nice way, then everything's congruent. But if you say, "I love you," and you say it in this really mean, harsh tone, then there's a disconnect. And so our words are powerful, but so is our tonality, our body language, right? And so we're wanting to create this place of our words, our actions, our tone, and our intent is all congruent and powerful for us, right? And so, how does that? I know I've got some watchers here. Nobody said hello, but I can see that some people are watching. So, do you have anything that's coming up for you as I'm saying this stuff? And maybe you're somewhere where you can't respond, and maybe that's why. But I would love it if you could get in on the conversation and just let me know if you understand. Um, or if you've ever had an experience where somebody has said something to you and their body language or their tone was just off, and you, "Hi, Wendy. Good morning, Lynn." And if you felt this feeling of they can't be trusted, or if you feel you had this feeling of something wasn't right because the body language, the tonality, the words all didn't seem to go together. Has there anybody had any of the experiences like that? Because that's when our intuition's really jumping in and saying, "Wait a minute." Because it's interesting. Our subconscious mind can pick up on those cues, right? And that's why sometimes we meet somebody for the first time and we're not really sure we like them. We don't know a damn thing about them, but something about all of the words, the body language, and all of that doesn't seem to be right. Something's off, and we immediately have this feeling of, I don't like that person. Yeah, it's amazing, right? And so our words are powerful whether we're speaking them out to others or we're speaking them into us. And when we speak out, we're doing both, right? Whatever we say out here, internalized. But what we internalize, other people aren't privy to those words. They may be aware of our body language and everything as we shift and change our inner dialogue, because our inner dialogue can have us, like when we're doing people watching, right? You sit somewhere where there's a lot of people, like I was just at the airport, and um, and you can do the same thing whether you're at a bus station or you're at an amusement park or anywhere where there's a lot of people, and you can see the people walking, and you can almost tell who doesn't like themselves, who hates the world, who has a really bad self-esteem, the people that are sad. You can tell so much about people when they're walking around, right? It's their body language that is getting us. Yes, I used to get this from my ex-husband all the time. He would treat me or talk to me in such a way that made me feel inferior, yet he would voice to others how amazing I was. Oh my gosh, what a disconnect, right? Yeah. Yeah, that had to have been really excruciating. Thank you for sharing that, Len. And sometimes I feel like some people don't realize how much that tonality and everything of their words strike people, right? Because I've heard people say, well, that's just me. And I said, well, if it's not going well and you're not communicating with people, then maybe you should change the you that you're putting out. I mean, um, nobody was born with that type of um, speech. Nobody was born with just having that sarcastic attitude or demeaning attitude or being hateful and ugly. People weren't born that way. It develops over time. Like we talk about with when I explain a lot about hypnosis, it's the from 0 to 7, all the things that happen to us, the things that people say, the things that people do, all of those things are instrumental in creating who we are. And so we're going through life a lot of times with what we say is just us. And that's not true. It's the accumulation of what the other people have said and done. So we're mirroring what they said about us, their attitude about us, and that's not us at all. But we've adopted it as us. And so it's there's so much about all of this that can be really hard to digest because we feel like this is who we are, but this is who we've become because of these things. And so to me, the beauty of getting a little bit older is that I can filter through those things. And the more I learn and grow and use more powerful words, and I journal, I meditate, all those things help me to be who I am without the input of others. And like for those that know me, I created my podcast because I had spent my whole life wearing a mask, basically, right? And so I knew how to talk around this person and how to talk around this other person and what to do over here. And I finally got to a place where it was like, well, I don't really even know who the hell I am. I know who I am with them and who I'm with them, but who am I when I'm alone? Who am I? And that's when it gets to be really, really powerful when you can start figuring that out. Let's see here. It was excruciating. Unfortunately, it's his alcoholic demeanor. He has damaged so many of his relationships by his lack of tact. Yeah. And it's probably just become such a habit. And people don't change until something happens that makes them want to change. And so it's amazing. It is. And so we can use our words to powerfully uplift ourselves and to uplift others. We can make sure that our body language, our tonality, all of those things are congruent with the message that we want to get out, right? And especially if we're someone who's an entrepreneur and we're in business, we want to make sure that what we're saying is connecting. And the way we make sure that we do that is by being aware of our words, being aware of our body language and our tone. And the thing is, it's not manipulating people. It's making sure that we are communicating our message and it's being received as well as possible. So our words are powerful. They're powerful tools to transform ourselves and to transform others, to help ourselves grow and to help others grow. So it's powerful stuff. And if you think about it, there's not even people that can't speak and can't hear, they have sign language. And the thing that's to communicate, and the thing that's when I took some sign language classes and everything, the thing that is so exciting about sign language is it's a lot of acting, and you're not speaking so much because they can't hear, but you are really being over and the top with your physical movements, your facial expressions, because they rely on the signs that you're doing, but they're relying on the body language and the facial expressions for the communication. But interestingly enough, in our day-to-day world, even if you're a hearing and speaking person, we're doing the same thing. We're looking at the or when they smiled, did their eyes crinkle? Was it really genuine? What was their body language telling me? What were their facial expressions? And we do it so quickly that we don't even know that we're doing that, but we're assessing the whole thing the whole time, right? So we want to make sure that we're using our words as powerfully as possible, right? I have said it here before that many of my friends and acquaintances praise me for being able to see the brightness in the darkest of times. I do usually think before I speak and question myself, is it true? Is it kind? Is it helpful? Oh, I like that, Lynn. That's a powerful way to do it. I love it. All right. So excuse me. I'm sorry. I've got some allergies. I don't know if it's from flying or if it's just we've been getting a lot of rain here. We had a big storm yesterday and the day before. All right. So let me get to our journal prompt. All right. So choose three empowering words and weave them into your conversations today. And how did using these words shift your interactions or mindset? So what are powerful words? Anybody have an idea? And I'm just going to share some that I make sure that I do. Hold on, I made a couple of little notes here. So hold on, where did it go? All right. So examples of powerful words or way to use them is that if you ever catch yourself saying, I always do that. And it's saying something that's not right, something you're judging, whatever it was. And I always do that. You can just change that to saying, sometimes this happens. And then if you're communicating with someone else, instead of like they were telling you something and you think, well, that's wrong. Instead of saying you're wrong, you can say, I see it differently. And I will explain that one in a minute. Hold on. What is it with this croaky throat this morning? One of the things that I found is that people sometimes have a horrible view of the world. And well, to me, it's a horrible view of the world where, something's always a catastrophe happening and that's all they can talk about. And so one of the things that people tend to do when that's the case is they want you to agree with them, right? Like I just did right? And so sometimes people will say, let's say if you're a single woman and you're dating and you're around a group of people that have not had good relationships and their things have not been like they wanted them to, they might make a statement that says, oh my gosh, there are no good men. They're all taken. And the thing is that it can be true that a lot of men are taken that are good, right? But we want to expand our thoughts to where that's not the truth for us, right? So you can say something like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry you feel that way. I am looking at it that there are a lot of good men and I intend to wait until I find one. And so when anybody makes a blanket statement about everybody, then it's time to say, oh, that's not my experience. And I've had, I wish I could remember an exact phrasing that somebody said, but not too long ago, somebody was using one of those everybody's bad kind of statements. And they said, isn't that right? And I said, well, that's not been my experience. And I just let it go. But some people, when you say that, will hunker down and want to argue with you. But to me, it's powerful when we can look at things that other people say and not agree, right? And so maybe, like if somebody says, oh my gosh, this just happened. So now we've got a problem. It's Houston, we got a problem kind of thing, right? And you can say, well, maybe this is an opportunity to look at things differently. Change the phrasing around it, because our word choices do impact how things show up for us, right? So words carry emotions that go beyond the literal meanings. Oh, good morning, Wendy, popping in from church. Happy Sunday. Yes. And so it's like, I was talking about the tonality and things, but, like when I'm talking about hypnosis, I'm always telling people that in hypnosis that I talk about the fact that what's certain circumstances can be the same for different people, but their reactions to those circumstances can be totally different because of their filter of the world. So one of the examples I usually give is that if somebody were to open the door here to my office and a whole bunch of puppies come running in, I would be in the floor playing with these puppies and I would be puppy breath. Oh my gosh. I would love it, right? But if somebody had been attacked by a dog at a young age or even at an older age, and they were afraid of dogs, now those same puppies coming in the room, even though they know that the puppies are not a threat and they may want to pet the puppies, but their physical response is going to be, their internal response is going to be that heart palpitation. They can even drop into a sweat, even though the stimulus is not the one that caused the problem to begin with, the big dog bite, right? But this is a reminder of that dog. So it's like the with our words can take people to memories of things, right? So our words can carry emotional associations beyond the literal meaning, depending on what our experience has been, if we're speaking it out, or what their experience has been when they're receiving it. So it can cause a lot of misunderstandings just because we don't know where they're coming from, right? The tones are really powerful to make our message feel like harsh, neutral, or supportive. Our tone makes a big difference. And certain words can actually challenge people's authority without us even intending to. So it's important for us to understand and apply our word choices mindfully, right? Oh, let me see. Where are we here? I'm going into different windows trying to think. All right. So what are your thoughts? Do you recognize that maybe sometimes somebody has talked to you and you thought they were saying something totally different because of your interpretation of their words, or maybe the interpretation of their body language? And so that's one of the reasons why it's so powerful when you're or you're communicating with people and they're telling you something, to tell them what they said, because they might look at you and say, that's not what I meant at all. And you say, okay, well, can you say it again? And I was on a call with someone yesterday, and when we know what we're talking about, we sometimes leave out pertinent information. And so I was talking to this person, and she said something to me, and it was this long paragraph kind of thing. And when she finished, I looked at her and I said, well, I think you're going to have to say that again in a different way, because I did not grasp exactly what you meant by that. And so she ended up having to rephrase it like 3 times because she was talking from her, um, ability to understand what she was saying, not my ability to understand what she was communicating. And so it's really important if we tell them, I'm not sure I got that, or this is what I thought I heard you say. And that opens up the ability to communicate better, right? But then there's times that we're communicating on Facebook, or we're communicating in an email, or we're communicating right in a different way, and we don't have that ability to get that instant feedback. So it's even more important that when we're doing that, that we're using our authentic voice and we're being us, not someone that other people have made us feel like we're supposed to act like or be like. And one of the examples that I have of that is, we just went to Stacy's TED Talk in San Diego, and when she was preparing for the talk, some of the people that had been speaking a lot longer than she had, as far as being on these platforms, they start telling her where you're supposed to hold your hand, how you're supposed to do this and everything. And it was like, when you're doing what somebody else tells you to do in those instances, maybe it is powerful, but you're also becoming mechanical and you're not communicating your authentic voice. And luckily, she didn't listen to what they said. And then she just did her. And then there were people that came to her later and wanted to know, well, oh, I loved the way you were, your body language and all these things. And so why was it you chose to put your hands here and there? Right. And it was like, I didn't. I just decided that I was going to be me. And people were really receptive of it. She did an amazing job. Now, if she had dug into the things that they told her to do, not to say that you're not supposed to take direction. If somebody's been doing something a lot longer than you are, then listen, but you interpret and you take what works for you and leave what doesn't. And so she didn't take on all of that, putting your hands here and doing these certain movements. And she was so much more relaxed and able to communicate, right? And so just be thinking about it. So now the thing is, I want you to think with the journal prompt, what are 3 empowering words? Does anybody have some empowering words that they're going to weave into their conversations today? Authenticity always wins. Yes, it does. I agree. I agree. And the thing that was interesting for me is, since I had spent so much time only being authentically who they wanted me to be, or what I thought people would be receptive of, then I didn't really know who that authentic person was. It took a bit, right? Being who you are, yes. So can you think of 3 empowering words? Some of the words that I use to help me be more empowered is, instead of saying I have to, I say I get to. I say I choose, when it comes to certain things. I choose to do this. I choose. What are some of the other ones? I can. I'm capable. What are some words? Truth, yes. So choose an empowering word. Love. All right, yeah, truth, love. Okay. So then, using those empowering words, weaving them into your conversation today. So maybe you could expand on that a little bit, Wendy, with I choose truth, I choose love, because we want to make sure that we're caring. Yes, yes. Help. Okay. So you're going to be making sure that in your conversations today with anybody, that you're using empowering words. And then just make a note and journal a little bit about goodness. Yes. How did using these words shift your interactions or your mindset? And some other empowering things are I can instead of I can't. Let's see. And when somebody asks you to do something, you don't know how to do it, instead of saying, well, I don't know how to do that, you can say, I don't know how to do that yet. So it's adding that yet in there makes that an empowering phrase. That's empowering words, right? So the yet thing is really works well as an empowering statement. Beautiful. Yes. Ah, it's going to be so much fun. So, just out of curiosity, who um, did the the inspiration scavenger hunt yesterday? Did anybody do that? Kindness, yes. And so for those that may not have watched yesterday, you did. Yay. Yes, Wendy, is I had this inspiration of scavenger hunt where you're supposed to set aside 15 minutes to just walk around your immediate surroundings, like your home, your office, your neighborhood, and list 10 things that inspired you. They can be as small as a leaf or as big as a building or as instrumental as a person that you connected with, right? And so just if you didn't do that, it would be a wonderful thing if you did, and then saw it last night. I will do it today. Wonderful, Wendy. And then share in the group and let us know how it went for you, what came up, how it inspired you to look for more. Because I think for me, it's like when I do something like that, it's just like for 10, 15 minutes, you do this. And then it's like for the rest of the day, I'll be thinking of, ooh, what's inspiring about this? What's inspiring about that? And so it just opens you up because remember what we focus on, what we look for, we find. So if we're looking for kindness, if we're looking for inspiration, if we're looking for it, we find it. I'm going to a barbecue today at a person's place who has been somewhat ostracized in our group. I will consider the situation when engaging in conversation and be sure to keep positive thoughts and feelings. Beautiful. You'll have to let us know how that goes, because sometimes people can trigger and challenge us to stay in that state. And so I would love to know how it goes. And if you see that there's something that keeps bringing you out of it, then pay attention to what those triggers are, because knowing those triggers that take you back into falling into that conversation that might not be so positive, just make a mental note of what brings you back into that. And sometimes it's just that they ask you to agree. So let's say if I don't know the situation, but just say that they criticize some of the other people for ostracizing them, and they give them all these attributes, whatever they are, and then they look at you and say, isn't that true? Then that's a place where we really need to be mindful, because people really want us to agree with whatever their statement is, whether it's a powerful statement or a non-powerful statement. And so we want to be mindful and not agree, because once we agree, then that becomes our truth too. And so that's one of the things that I really, really pay attention to, so that I'm not agreeing with someone else to make them feel better, but then it becomes mine. And I don't want to do that. I'm okay with him, but others aren't so much. So I will likely be the one to steer the conversation in the right direction. Beautiful, Lynn, beautiful. And like I said, just notice if somebody starts constantly saying something that gets to you, And it's noticing what those triggers are so that you can work through those triggers and then you won't be triggered in the same way anymore. Because that's one of the things that I've had to work on over the years. I will say. All right, so we're going to go back to the affirmation. My words are powerful tools for transformation and growth. Make sure you put that on your sticky note, your index card, the screensaver on your phone, wherever it is that it's going to be in your face today. A reminder that your words are powerful. Your voice means something. You can use it for so much. And just in communication in general, right? And so words are powerful, and we want to make sure we're using them as tools for transforming ourselves, others, and growing, right? And then our journal prompt. Now, like I always say, it's important to take your notebook, your journal, put the date, the affirmation, the journal prompt, and then just take a little bit of time to get in silence and quiet all that chatter in your head so that you can actually internally digest the words so that their subconscious mind is bringing out the things that will be powerful for you to learn, to grow with, right? And so our journal prompt is choose 3 empowering words and weave them into your conversations today. And so that's going to be amazing to do because it shows you how powerful our words can be when we choose them. And how did using these words shift your interactions or your mindset? And so it can be an amazing thing to help yourself. But when people start listening to you and they start recognizing that it's the words that you're saying are uplifting and they're powerful, and they will, sometimes people will say, something's different. You sound different. I like it though. Right? Nice to see and hear you today, Vicki. Have a blessed, powerful Sunday. Oh, thank you, Lynn. Thank you. It's so good to be here. And I'm so glad you were able to be here as well. And I know you're going to have an amazing time at this barbecue today. And take a little small notebook or something and stick it with you so you can take some notes of how different it feels when you can be really on point with communication. From your body language, your tonality, your words. And it's not to put you on the spot or anything, but it would be great to hear how that goes for you and what you might even recognize in other people's language. Because once you really get into this, you start noticing people and their body language and their words a lot of times do not match. And so you get to where you notice things, your intuition will pick up on so much more when you're doing this and you're aware, because it's so powerful. It's so powerful. All right. So it's been amazing to be here with you guys today. And then tomorrow, I know it's Labor Day. So maybe I'll put a poll in the group. I don't know, but I was still planning on showing up tomorrow at 2:00, but it might be have a transformative and powerful day. Oh, thank you, Wendy. Thank you. So for those that are on here right now, are you going to be available tomorrow at 2:00 for the live? Because I wasn't even thinking about it. It's being Labor Day. There might be a lot of people that will be at barbecues at 2:00. We had my great niece was in town. You'll be available? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Wendy. But my great niece is in town, and I haven't seen her in almost 2 years. She's been living in another state and just hasn't been able to get home. And we thought that we were going to do something with her on Monday, and then yesterday we found out that she's with some other people and they can't stay that long, so she's going home later today. And so we quickly brought everything together so we could gather for at my sister's house for food and fellowship kind of thing, because we wanted to see her. So it was great to see her. But now that that's not happening on Monday, it may be nothing happening on Monday for me. Okay, thank you, Lynn. So I'm not sure. Maybe we'll leave it at 2 just because that's where it's at. But I'll think about it. And if I end up deciding to change that, then I will put something in the group and let you guys know. But thank you for being here live. And for those that are watching the replay, thank you for being here for the replay. And if you didn't see the stuff about the scavenger hunt and everything, just go back and look at yesterday's affirmation and journal prompt and the challenge that I gave everybody. And I would love to know, if you do that, what comes up for you. All right. So, as Wendy so eloquently has put it once again, let me pull it over here so I'm not looking down at my phone. Have a transformative and powerful day. And I will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, unless I let you know otherwise. Mwah.